Welcome to the Backfield Buzz podcast, the part of the Hive Podcast Network. Cody Wiles, Logan Glover, and Andrew Foster here. Week 10 in the books. We're here to recap it all. Frosty, how you feeling?
Good. I just got back from the gym. I feel alive. It's the most amount of energy I've had. I'm getting over the cold now. I'm still a little stuffed up. This is the most energy I've had in over a week now. I feel great.
Well, Glover, you're gonna have to. Can you match that energy?
I
I
don't
can
know if I
hear it.
can. Like, I
I
feel
can
pretty
hear
good,
it
but I don't know
coming.
if I feel great. I don't know if I'm like that right now.
Not great. Okay, well, that's a great way to start it off. Glover's not feeling great. It's just good.
I'm just good.
All right. Well, let's just jump right into it. Um, week 10 superlatives. We do this every week. Check out the channel if you would want to go back and watch the rest. That'd be lovely. We have some NHL content on the channel as well. Let's get into it. Week 10, best game. Couple good options. Couple good options. Frosty, you're bringing the energy to me. You're matching my energy level right now, so I'm gonna go to you first.
Okay, I didn't change my opinion when Thursday Night Football from 2 weeks ago with the Vikings Rams ended on a bad missed call, and I called it the best game still. I'm doing the same thing this week. The Ravens Bengals was the best game, regardless. We're not getting into whether it was how bad the call was or not on this again. Me and Glover debated this for like an hour and a half yesterday. We're not doing it again. I'm going to preface that right now. This was an incredible game. Crazy comeback by the Ravens. The Bengals gave themselves a shot, regardless of the outcome of that. They gave themselves a shot to win it, and it was a great game. Two quarterbacks playing at the highest level in football right now.
Yeah, I'm going Ravens Bengals too. I mean, right now, whether you want to talk MVP or not, there's no doubt the two best quarterbacks in the NFL this season have been Joe Burrow and Lamar Jackson. You can't dispute it. You can't throw anyone else in that conversation because no one's been close. Like those are the top two. The only reason Joe Burrow is not in MVP talks is because his team around him sucks. That defense can't do anything. And T. Higgins is always hurt and all that sort of stuff. But an amazing game. I mean, yeah, what a comeback. And I enjoyed it a lot. It was so stressful though. I was sitting up staring right at the TV. I think Wiles was there, and we're just standing up. They're going focus on their bet, and I'm looking. I'm dialed in. I was stressing during that game.
Hey, I feel yeah because there was another contender. Well, you could say Lions Texans where it was the same thing. I was very scared and then it turned into upset. Um yeah, I mean I think Bengals Ravens was the easy contender, but there was a couple you know what? I'm going to give a shout out to the Chiefs Broncos. I mean, I'm sure the all of the country except Missouri was um like in shock or upset at that block field goal. I should be quoting this tweet, but there was that guard or got ran over on the field goal block. He's been getting picked on all year, and they send three guys to him, and they get through. So that's just great attention to detail. That's what separates, being 9-0 and the rest of the league, right? But there was that one. The Saints,
Yeah.
Darren Rizzi, the Rizzler, getting his first win
Oh.
as Saints head coach. Steelers Commanders was a 1 point game. Russell Wilson to Mike Williams for the winning touchdown. What else was there?
San Fran
49ers.
Tampa
Yeah, Jake Moody shrugs off three missed field goals to kick the game winner against the Bucks. And
and
then
a
of course,
swing from Debo Samuel.
that is true. That is true. And then there was also, yeah, like I mentioned, the Lions Texans where Jake Bates sneaks in the second field goal barely to take down the
Oh,
Houston Texans. Good week of football, eh?
yeah.
Great week of football. This was I this was the first time, with the except Monday Night Football was an okay game. It wasn't great. Um, but I think this is the best full slate of primetime games that we've had this year.
I mean, Glover, even the Germany game, Panthers winning off a field goal in OT
Yeah.
off a Tyrone Tracy fumble.
So
I
that's
mean,
so tough.
even everybody thought, I mean, the game itself wasn't anything spectacular, but hey, it went to OT. There was
Yeah.
it got better towards the end, so you can't complain if you're the people of Germany.
No, it was a close game. Just wasn't exactly like the cleanest football you want to watch. And I mean, I think we're also in for a good slate of games next week. I mean, we've got some good football coming up here, fellas. I mean, week 11, off the top of my head, you've got Ravens Steelers for the division. You got Commanders Eagles Thursday night football. You got Bills Chiefs. You got Bengals Chargers. There's some real good games coming up.
Texans,
Commanders Eagles should
Cowboys.
be a
Texans, Cowboys.
battle. I don't even want to talk about that game.
I
I'm
don't know
not
how
where
close that
I
game's gonna
told
be.
Glover before we started recording, I couldn't let myself wear a Cowboys hat for this game because I can't represent that team right now.
I was gonna say usually
I
you're
can't
repping the Cowboys. How you're
I
just
can't do it. This will be an hour-long video if I get into it right now. But this is oh my God, that team is a
okay. Well,
mess.
I'll cut you off so we don't.
Yeah,
Also,
this
Seahawks Niners next week is also that
Right.
division game is always a good one. Okay, well we've talked about the good. Now we gotta do the bad, right? Worst game of week 10. I mean, if I had to pick, there's okay, you can go a couple different ways. I mean, Frosty might say Cowboys Eagles just because it was a beating. I mean, I guess it was close towards like first half, and
it
then
was expected.
hey, just get it. You know what? Just get it out of the way. Get your
That
feelings. Just get.
that's not even mine.
Oh,
That's not even
okay,
mine.
okay. I was gonna give you the floor, but I'm gonna go with. You know what? So where do you guys tend to lean to these? Do you guys lean more blowouts or like bad games, or just like crap all around, like the Patriots Bears 19-3, or are you more like a Cardinals Jets 31-6, where it was like both were equally bad, but like at least the Cardinals were putting up points and you could watch these guys, score.
Yeah, blowouts are bad, but I'm going Bears Patriots. That was just miserable football, as is to be expected. But like, oh my God, like it was just gross. I mean, it's the games when you're sitting down on red zone and they never flip to them.
I
Never
didn't
once.
even, yeah, not
I don't think they ever flipped to that game at all.
no.
I didn't see any of the touchdowns. I didn't see anything. That game was
Well,
just
the
all
Bears didn't score
radar.
a touchdown.
Yeah, exactly.
Bears haven't
And
scored a touchdown in forever.
that game was terrible. That game was just gross football.
Well, Frosty, how about the Bears 3-game L streak? What's going on? I saw some numbers. I think it might have been you that sent in a little infographic about Bryce Young and Caleb Williams' numbers, and they're looking pretty similar this year.
There's a legitimate comparison between Bryce Young's rookie year and what Caleb Williams has started this year. And Caleb Williams is I'm going to say he's in a better spot because of the weapons around him. The O-line is terrible. They finally gotten rid of Shane Waldron, thank God. That guy couldn't scheme his way out of a paper bag.
Yeah, we were talking about
Like,
that for a while on the Backfield
Praise
Buzz.
the Lord.
like it, I I want to see. I think Caleb has all the skills to be able to succeed. I think he's still trying to play college football in the NFL, and it's just not working for him.
We talked about this when we were doing our season predictions. We talked about the Bears, and we all had them just outside the playoffs in kind of a rough spot, lower than people would expect, for two reasons, and they both have been true so far. Number one, the NFC North is an absolute wagon. It's even more of a wagon than we thought it was. It's a great division. Secondly, the coaching. Great team, great players, real talented. Matt Eberflus, we knew was a bad decision to keep him around, and we were on that from day one. And Shane Waldron was a terrible hire. Like both of those two things are what's going to hold this team back. And I think the Bryce Young comparison to me, it does two things. One, it shows that Caleb Williams, yeah, he's not playing so well, but it's a lot of coaching. Two, I think it shows Bryce Young deserves a little bit more of a chance. Like he's not done yet. Give him a real shot with better things around him. So I really do think the Bears are in a tough spot, but this will be good. You fire Eberflus and you draft O lineman. I don't care what pick you have. Try and find a way to get Will Campbell on this roster.
Yeah, I mean, for anybody saying that Bryce Young is done, like I don't think none of us have said
No,
that. It was just I agreed with the benching just to give him some time to look back on it. Like there's the Tom Brady clip that always surfaces around of uh just these guys like developing in college more instead of just, more of a program, not a team. And so there's a lot of talk about that going on right now in the NFL with these quarterbacks. And is the NFL like kind of failing to develop these guys? But I mean, okay, the Bears' worst team, are we in agreement on that? We kind of usually when we do this worst game, it usually involves one of our worst teams, unless any of you guys had somebody else.
no, I went with Bears as my worst team, and really the only saving grace they had was the fact that on Monday they fired Shane Waldron. That's really the only good thing they did this week.
That's the best play the Bears made. That's the
Yeah.
best call that Bears had in the last 2 weeks is to fire their offensive coordinator.
You knew they were cooked, and you knew he was cooked when you saw that clip come out of him laughing up with Caleb Williams on the sideline, and Caleb's like, "What the fuck are you talking about? Like he's just so pissed off. He's like rolling his eyes, shaking his head at Shane Waldron, just laughing on the sideline down to the Patriots.
All right, so that takes care of the worst team. Also, I just want to say Vikings, Jaguars, Minnesota.
That was a close second.
Yeah, yeah.
Minnesota's
Minnesota's
on a
heavily on fraud watch.
ring a ding ding. The potential fraud alert.
The fraud alert is starting to come out, man. It's starting to come out.
They
I've beaten the drum a little bit. Just it's the offense for me.
they were
I
the
think
last team to go 5-0 and miss the playoffs. It was the Vikings.
Oh,
I
that's
think the big thing is that their offense, obviously Sam Darnold's he's coming back to his roots, but the defense was so scheme. It's not a very talented roster on the defensive side of the ball. Brian Flores has been scheming them up. But I think as we get more and more film on this scheme with these players, it's easier for offenses to counter it and to find holes in it because the players aren't talented enough to make up for those gaps in the scheme.
yeah.
So that's sort of where I'm at with that team.
I mean, at the end of the day, now they're 7-2, so it would take a lot for them to not make the playoffs here. Like they would have to completely collapse the second half of the like they would have to probably amass like 6 losses, 5 losses,
Yeah.
maybe depending on how the NFC West shakes out. But all right, let's best team. Best team. I mean, Philly looks pretty good, Frosty.
The Eagles are my best team. Not just because of what they did. This is an Eagles team that I expected to just stop playing at some point and let the Cowboys back into the game. That's what they've done. That's what Nick Sirianni has done. They didn't. They kept the foot on the gas the whole time. They were still forcing turnovers in the second half. They still put up points in the second half. The first half was a little shaky, but the Eagles did what they should have done. They came in and ran the Cowboys out of their own building. And that's the sign of the Eagles are starting to click on all cylinders right now, is they're beating the hell out of the teams that they should beat the hell out of.
Yep. Yeah, Eagles are a good shout. I'm gonna go with the Cardinals. This Jets team's still in shambles, but the Cardinals look really good. And I think based on all the piss poor performances we got from MVP candidates this week, Kyler Murray's in the conversation now. He's got a hat in the ring. I'd argue he might be the third at this point, maybe like he's top five, I think, in the MVP talks, in my eyes. It's more a matter of where you put him up there. But yeah, he's been really good. The offense was clicking this past week. Bride got involved. Marvin Harrison Jr. had some plays. The run game is really, really good. I mean, Trey Benson had his best week, 10 carries for 62 yards. And James Conner was solid and had a ton through the air. Like, just a really, really good all-around performance from the Cardinals.
I'll go Steelers just because I mean that's a big win for them. I know they still allowed 27 points, but that's one of the lower totals for the Commanders this year. Like that's like a bottom half total for them, only 27 points. And they stuck with the win. And with Russell Wilson there, I mean, whoever questioned uh Tomlin's switch to Wilson is looking very dumb. I'm trying to think of what we were saying. I think Glover might have been on
I was
I
against
don't
it.
know. Yeah, okay.
I was very much in favor of what has Fields done to deserve a benching. But hey, Russ has played
I
better than I
still
thought.
I still agree with that. I just think I think overall Russ gives them a better shot to win week in, week out.
I really think it comes down to Russ plays with more confidence. I
Yeah.
just think that's the biggest thing is if Fields wasn't just chucking the ball up to George Pickens, which is basically what he's the best at, you know? George Pickens isn't gonna route you up. He's not gonna beat you after the catch. He's not gonna juke you out of your pants. He's gonna be locked up with you and just catch the ball if it's thrown up to him. That's just what he's gonna do.
All right. Well, speaking of some players now, let's move over to offensive player of the week. Glover, just go
It's
ahead.
Jamar Chase. Let's move on. I don't want to talk about it.
Oh my, is it ever Jamar
Do you want to
Chase?
read out the stats or should I?
I'm good. I'll pass.
Frosty, do you want to take the honors?
No, I'll let you do it. I want to watch Glover's face when you read them out.
264 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 11 catches for Jamar Chase. In a losing effort against the Baltimore Ravens. It's just, I mean, look at the game logs. Look at his Jamar Chase owns the Baltimore Ravens, even though they lose. They can't stop him, and
No.
still Baltimore's pass defense continues to falter. It's really shocking how they're, to be honest, 7-3, but they can't defend the pass whatsoever. That's just a testament to how good the Ravens offense has been. Just they're outscoring their problems. I don't think like I don't think that's a recipe for success, but
No.
for now, while they're trying to figure out the problems come playoff time, it's working.
I think I really hope this game was a learning experience because there was a lot of things that worked. There was th but when it didn't work, it was horrific. One of the things that worked was Ardarius Washington played really well. Therefore, get Marcus Williams off the goddamn football field right now. He looks so bad. He played better last year with a bum arm. So like there's pause. Marlon Humphrey played well again. Why is he not following the number one receiver on whoever that is on that team? He better follow George Pickens around like he better tape them together. He should never not be covering George Pickens. Brandon Stevens shouldn't touch the number one receiver. Nate Wiggins does a better job. And it's just there's so many like little things that are like, why is that still happening in week 10? Why is
It's
Roquan Smith forced to cover a crosser of Jamar Chase across the middle of the field all alone? He's not gonna catch him.
Okay, we've
it
turned this
feels
into
like
a Ravens thing and not a Jamar Chase. This is best player of the week,
Yeah,
Jamar
he was
Chase.
amazing, and it was just he kept torching us over the top.
Frosty, I'll let you go.
I, I I will say, going back to what you said, Glover, this is surprisingly, I think the worst coached Ravens team that I've seen in a while. Especially after last year, they looked so well coached until the playoffs, which was just
Oh,
questionable. But
I won't
they
get into
don't
that.
look well coached this year, especially on defense. And oh my God, is Jamar Chase exploiting it? My
Yeah,
God.
the offense, Todd Monken has been unreal. John Harbaugh needs to keep the challenge flag in his pocket until the fourth quarter.
That was also very question. It was like this. What was it? It was a
It was like the
2 yard
second drive of the
gain.
game.
It
There's
was
no
a
need to do
and it
that.
was a 2 yard gain.
It was dumb. That was
I
dumb.
get it was by the goal line, so you want to play for every yard, but it's
And
early and it didn't even work.
really the Zach Orr's really showed a lot more than I was hoping he would. It's Mike McDonald was just like I miss him so much. But it's just I I don't know. There's a lot that's going wrong, and the defense is working better in the red zone. They're doing good in the red zone, but the problem is they're never getting to red zone trips because they're just getting torched for 80 yards every drive. So like they don't get a chance to show off in the red zone because teams aren't getting within the 20 without scoring a touchdown.
All right, defensive player of the week, Glover. Who'd you end up going with?
Oddly enough, after just destroying the Ravens defense, I am going to go Justin Matabike. He was the one guy who was getting pressure all game. I think he had 8 pressures. He had 3 sacks. He had a forced fumble. That was his best game. He had been kind of invisible this season, hadn't really shown up to the contract so far. He played amazing. He was chasing Joe Burrow around all game long. Nobody else was getting a lot of real pressure. It was just him. And yeah, that was by far his best game. And he was the only one on the D line that showed up to work.
Yeah, that's fair. That he did he he looked like the only one on the defense period that showed up to work that day, not just the D line.
Yeah.
Um, I don't care if you guys hate it. I'm picking DeMarvion Overshown. He had 8 solo tackles, 11 total, 2 sacks, and 2 TFLs. He played an incredible. Micah Parsons got a lot of the shine for coming back. DeMarvion Overshown was our best defensive player that game and was one of, if not the best linebacker this week. I
I,
I did want to I want to shout out Carlton Davis too. 2 picks and 4 solo tackles because I figured I wasn't going to be able to do Overshown. Um, but both those guys showed up like crazy this week.
Overshow was on my list. He was one of the guys I looked at because even just watching that Cowboys game, he was really fast. He was all over the field. He was making plays, and no one else really was. So
He looks good, man. He looks. I'm saying that's what I've been saying. He's been the best player on the defense with Michael Parsons and Demarcus Lawrence both out. He's been the best player on the
yeah,
defense.
See, you went with Carlton Davis. I was gonna go with Brian Branch. Just like he was everywhere, man. 10 tackles, a tackle for loss. Didn't get the pick, but he was like he was doing a lot and he was everywhere. Like it was noticeable. Like he was just you see I say 10 tackles, but it was just the way those tackles were made just really set him apart. Um
He, he's had a real good sophomore breakout. Like he's jumped himself into top safeties in the league conversation. Like he's probably a top five guy right now. Like this season, he's probably a top three guy, but overall as a safety, he's probably a top five guy at this point right now.
well, I
Yeah,
mean I think what was it? PFF has Branch and
Kirby Joseph as a top six.
yeah, I believe that's what they were showing
Yeah.
on the
It's
broadcast.
I think it's largely to interceptions. Kirby Joseph has like five or six interceptions this year. Brian Branch is deserving of that spot. Kirby Joseph not quite as much, but he's still been a great safety as well.
Yeah. Okay. Rookie of the week. I'm gonna stick in the same game. I just want to Kamari Lassiter. I've been kind of beating the drum a little bit. I just want to I think this is a fair game to actually.
Yeah.
This isn't biased anymore. Uh, two interceptions for him in a losing effort. Honestly, I was as we were talking here, I was pulling up the rookie of the year odds, and he's nowhere to be found, which is kind of weird. He was in the conversation earlier in the year, but I don't see him anywhere. So. I mean, he's fantastic. He's great. He's a good tackler. He has great ball skills. He's sticky. He's physical. I mean, as a second round pick, like he's been great. Like they have a long term piece now alongside Derek Stingley Jr. And that's about all I gotta say.
I think the main reason why not found is Jared Verse has really separated himself from the pack in the defensive rookie of the year race. Like he's week in, week out. Like he's the guy I considered for rookie of the week. I don't know, he's not my guy, but he's just been so good this year.
yeah, he has. Well, like Kamari Lassiter's my rookie of the week too. I mean, I don't think it's ridiculous to say that 2 years from now, the Texans probably have the best cornerback duo in football. I don't think that's ridiculous to say. They're going to be up there with Pat Surtain and whoever you put
Whoever
beside him, or
else.
Sauce Gardner and whoever you put beside him. Like
Yeah.
they're going to be really good, man.
I just realized I couldn't find him because I was looking at offensive rookie of the year
I
and I
was
was
about to, I just
panicking
pulled it
while I
up.
was talking. Yeah, I was panicking. Okay. I was panicking. Yeah, but yeah, Jared Verse is also like honestly, if one of you guys, I mean Glover, you might say Jared Verse, which would be completely fine because dude's a game wrecker and I think he's a lock for defensive rookie of the year.
Yeah, he's been the most consistent. Like he's had some standout performances, but every week he's got like a sack. Like he's just so consistent week in, week out. I will go with I'll make mine Jared Verse because yeah, he's just been an absolute game wrecker. And that D line for the Rams is young and talented. It is going to be good for the next 5 to 6 years at least. I mean, their second round pick, Braden Fiskey, has been amazing. And then you've also got the guys they drafted from the year before in Kobe Turner and Byron Young, who have both also continued to be amazing. But I do want to start with a couple other guys. Tyrone Tracy had a great game until the fumble. He would have been my pick if he didn't fumble in the overtime. That's kind of
Yeah.
just he's been my guy all year, and yeah, that was tough. Ricky Pearsall had his breakout game; he was really good, and Adonai Mitchell also had his breakout game. Those two are both really good for their teams.
All right. Surprise player of the week. Who surprised you, Frosty?
I'm going with MVS. Marquez Valdez Scant. Like, I mean, I was going back and forth between who I'm assuming Glover is probably going to pick. Um, 3 catches, 109 yards, and 2 touchdowns, all in the first half, I believe, too. I think he went crazy on a Saints team that's absolutely desperate for anybody to be able to catch the ball right now. He's the one that showed up and did it.
I I know who you're thinking I'm gonna go, and I will give Tylan Wallace his flowers. That was amazing. He's a great big play guy. I really do think Deontay will leave this offseason. Aguilar should leave this offseason. Tylan Wallace can be a three. He's always had the talent. I've always been up on his talent. He hasn't gotten the opportunity. But no, I'm gonna go surprisingly bad. Jared Goff. What the hell was that?
That's
That was
fair.
disgusting. Like this guy threw, it was 4 picks all year. He threw five that game. He, I was that was just unreal. That entire game was a mess. But Jared Goff, I don't know.
I I I was gonna go like this. I don't know if it's worse that Goff threw 5 interceptions or Stroud didn't capitalize on them.
Yeah.
I don't know which one. I think because it was just the sheer amount of picks that he threw, I think it has to be Goff. But that was not a good game from either one of those
No.
two.
No.
No, it wasn't. Um, yeah, I don't want to get into it again. I've been getting
Well,
teased all week, man. And like even I was finally starting to
yeah.
heal. I don't know if I mean the Saskatchewan Roughriders jersey is usually in the background of these, and they suffered a
How'd they
tough.
do?
They lost. If you didn't know, I was definitely not complaining in the group chats. They lost a big playoff game, and then the Texans came out and choked away a lead, didn't score in the second half, and lost. Um, ah, okay. Let's. Uh, my surprise player of the week. I'll go Marquez Valdez-Scantling. Derek Carr might have some of the best deep ball accuracy I've ever seen. He's just Rashid Shaheed 2.0 now. Like Shaheed was doing it, and now MVS is there. Like MVS couldn't make it work with Pat Mahomes, who weirdly, I was sitting with Glover and I mentioned this. I saw a deep shot to Worthy that was out of bounds. Mahomes is not pushing the ball down. Like everybody thinks of Mahomes with like Tyreek Hill, and that's all he does. These last couple of seasons, that's not been the offensive game plan. It's a lot of middle, over the field, short stuff, screens, run the ball. That's how they play football. They don't take shots anymore.
I want to throw a hypothetical out there.
Okay.
So this is going to sound kind of crazy, but when we've been looking at quarterbacks for the past 5 years from Mahomes, as Mahomes is the one he'll never be passed. Let's say if Lamar Jackson wins the Super Bowl and gets MVP, do we go back to that being a conversation? Because Mahomes just hasn't. He when he first came in the league, that's what, like you mentioned, he was just pushing the ball down the field like nobody else. His deep ball accuracy, nobody could stop him. And if you stopped him over the top, he burnt you through the underneath stuff. But he just hasn't been doing it at that level anymore.
Well, I think I mean, Frosty, it seems to me like it's a wide NFL problem just because everybody's playing this two high safeties like all the time, even three to some degrees, and teams are just making you play underneath. So I feel like even Josh Allen and the Bills, they've completely changed their offense as well because of what defenses have been doing. Do you think it's more of like a Mahomes thing, like maybe Glover is suggesting, or do you think it's like more like a just a full NFL schematic plan?
So I was gonna say, I saw a stat earlier. The Chiefs have faced Tampa 2 more than any other defense, or more than any other offense has in football, which shuts down all of your sideline deep shots. They don't have the elite, like deep threat guy outside of Worthy, who's pretty much sideline to sideline. He's not really working the middle of the field. Like that's Kelsey and D Hop that are gonna work there, and neither one of them are deep shot guys. So I think teams have realized you put Tampa 2 on them, you're shutting down Worthy on the sideline. It's going to be tough for them to get a deep shot really to anybody else with Hollywood Brown out, Rashee Rice out. They don't have anybody that's running those deep routes anymore. And I think it's more a schematic thing of the way that the teams are playing the Chiefs now.
See, but it's not working. That's what I don't understand. It's not working. Their offense is maybe a little bit slower, but they're still winning every game. So obviously, this shouldn't be the strategy.
But
But
look at what Mahomes' stats are. Everybody's been saying Mahomes hasn't been playing as well this year. He hasn't. The issue is the Chiefs are getting so much underneath stuff. Their offense hasn't been that good, but they have more time of possession than any other team in football.
Their run game has been unreal this year. That
Yeah.
O-line has always been amazing. Kareem Hunt is moving that ball down the field. Like they don't need to do the deep shots. I think that's part of the problem is teams are so afraid of Mahomes' deep shots, and it's kind of been the reverse for like they've done the same thing for Allen, but it's been the reverse for Baltimore. Teams are so much more scared of the backfield. It does open up the top. They do push down a little bit, and it allows them to try and air it out because really that's the only team I've seen take a deep shot successfully this season. The Bengals have done it too, mainly against the Ravens because their defense just sucks. But that's like it is kind of weird that way. But I think teams need to find that balance for the Chiefs because they're going to keep winning if they can take Kelsey D Hop underneath with Kareem Hunt or Isaiah Pacheco just running down your throat. They're going to keep winning football games.
I mean, they got pretty close to it not working last week with Denver only holding them to 16 points. That's a solid defense out there in Denver, but
I
oh man,
think
they just keep finding ways to win.
I do think a big part of that is the fact that Diop was unavailable because Pat Surtain had like that was Pat Surtain just locked him down and that was that. Like
Yeah,
it
I
does
believe
hinder
Kareem
them.
Hunt led the Chiefs in receiving that
Yeah.
game. So
Well, it was D-Hop had, I think, 4 catches, and I think only one of them was in man coverage. Everything else was zone coverage, and he just that those are the times that Sertan's not just locked hip on hip.
Yeah. Like Surtain bullied him and he's
Yeah.
been doing that all season.
okay, well that wraps up the superlatives. Was there anything else you guys wanted to bring up? A
Well, I'll
news,
just
a
on the
note?
topic we were just on, the defensive player of the year race to me is pretty wide open right now. Pat Surtain deserves a shout. Deserves a shout.
Yes.
Let me pull up
Yes.
the odds.
With Aiden
I've got him right
Hutchinson
here.
out
He's not
right
even
now,
close.
Sexy
Okay.
Dexy's kind of slowed down a little bit. Will Anderson's hurt now. Those were probably the top 2 guys
Well,
after Aiden Hutchinson went down.
here's what we're looking at. TJ Watt minus 140, Chris Jones plus 900, Trey Anderson plus 1200, Dexter Lawrence plus 1300, Fred Warner, Nick Bosa, Will Anderson, then Pat Surtain at plus 2200. So he's way down there. I
It's
don't
because he
think TJ
just
Money should
doesn't
be
get the
minus money.
picks. That's the issue is Sertan. If Sertan was a ball hawk, people would rag on him because he would give up too many yards.
He just doesn't
If
get targeted.
he's not a ball hawk, he's just a lockdown guy, but now he'll never win the award because he doesn't get enough picks.
I'm going to be honest, I'd rather that. I would rather have a guy who can undoubtedly lock up your number one option for an entire football game than a guy who's going to get a pick and get burnt 60 yards in the field.
Yeah. Oh, I'm aware. Me too. That's
You live with that.
both of our corners are like that.
Yep,
They're
that's fair.
they can win you a game very easily, but they'll lose you more than they win you.
Yeah. Yep.
All right, well that feels like a solid place to end it, fellas. We might have to do like an awards checkup or our predictions for awards later in the year. I just got the idea. With still no dynasty rookie mock draft. I just kind of stopped saying it. I'm not gonna make any promises anymore because I don't know what it's gonna happen because it's not happening this week. I can tell you that it's not.
It'll happen at some point, and when it happens, it'll be up, and that'll happen, and that'll be that.
Yeah.
I wanted to do a couple checkups, and we will. There's gonna be, I mean, we're gonna need some content when the season's done, right? And when we're leading up to draft season. So I think this channel is gonna turn into a bunch of mock drafts, a bunch of dynasty rookie stuff, some more fantasy stuff, and yeah, maybe we'll do maybe like a new startup league mock draft. I don't know. We're the Backfield Buzz has got some stuff cooking, but anything else, fellas? Anything else?
All good.
All right, that does it. Thanks for watching the Backfield Buzz. Keep a eye out for the preview episode, fantasy and betting, coming out before Thursday Night Football. Hopefully, if not, we will come out before Sunday. All right. Cody Wiles, Looking Glover, Andrew Foster here. Thanks for watching, and as always, keep it buzzing.